Hey guys, what's going on? Sincere here with whoissincere.com. I actually decided to do a part two of this quick series that I'm doing here on Global Citizens Festival. And the reason why is because I didn't include these pictures in the first one. I talked about the names, but I never showed the pictures. As I sat here and watched that 6.5 hour event, or I didn't watch the whole 6 hours, but a good majority of it. I took a lot of screenshots, probably about 400 or more screenshots. So, I have a lot of pictures here to actually show from the event. What I want to talk about though is the fact that there were so many names that came out to the event, so many big level, names that we have here in America that supported this United Nations event here on American soil in New York. In case you don't know about it, this event happened actually not too long ago, I believe on the 26th of September. I believe it was the 26th, but the UN meeting was supposed to be from the 25th to the 27th up there in New York. So, the Global Citizens Festival happened in New York in the middle of that time period. And all these huge name acts, I mean, big name acts came through and they pretty much gave a huge concert to 60,000 people in New York City, and they did it under the premise of humanitarian efforts that these 60,000 people supposedly have been promoting to the United Nations that they want to hold accountable to them. But the fact of the matter is, the United Nations and the World Bank, as I've placed in part one, have actually drafted these global goals and this global goals initiative up themselves. So this is their plan until 2030, and they're managing to indoctrinate the children by bringing in the Disney characters, and they're managing to hit every nationality, every group of people that can be affected by their programming of this event. All in one event called the Global Citizens Festival. You have the First Lady there. There was a message from President Barack Obama. You have Laverne Cox there, the transgender activist. Selma Hayek, I mean, Beyonce. There were so many people. Ed Sheeran and Coldplay, Bono, Pearl Jam. You name it, they were there. Bill Gates was there. So many people were actually there. Common was there. So, like I said, I took a whole bunch of pictures. You can see that this event, let me see if I can go back in the pictures actually a little bit. You can actually see that this event was, there was a lot of effort, an extreme amount of effort and accuracy placed into this event. Bill Gates and Melinda Gates were there, and by the tiling that was on the side stage of the bigger stage, which coincidentally was an eye. The bigger stage was an eye. So I don't think I mentioned that in part one because I didn't get to the pictures, but the bigger stage was an eye. The tiling in the background is reminiscent of Windows tiling, on their present architecture that they have, Windows 10, Windows 8.1, but that looks exactly like Windows tiling. So, I'm sure that, Bill and Melinda Gates, of course, their technology or Bill's technology had something to do with this. You had people there like Richard Branson, big banking moguls and the big banking cartels were all there in attendance. So my thing is, and when you have the vice president and his lady, they're actually addressing 60,000 people. You think that would make national coverage, national news, that someone would be covering this. You see MSNBC had their tent in the background, and the funny thing is they weren't even streaming it on television. Not many people know about this festival. It didn't get really any airplay. It may have been on MSNBC's website, but I checked the television, and we checked it a couple times and did not see it on MSNBC. And we're here in Tennessee with EPB cable, so we get really, really good, television, and we have good channels, but we didn't see that being streamed in this market. So we caught all of this live on YouTube. It was just me and my lady here watching this. I tuned in 3 minutes before it was supposed to go live on YouTube, and I watched the whole thing because, to me, I thought it was very odd that we can have 60,000 people in a city that is not being televised anywhere with such powerful names, being a part of this process here. So to me, it was just, here's the stage I was talking to you about. Okay. If you don't believe me on the eye thing, just keep watching. We'll come across this sooner than later. But, you just had so many people there, and it was so much propaganda. You had, you see Gucci here in the background. You had the CEO of Gucci out there. You see Google, here in the background. You even see Caterpillar down here. Caterpillar, the people that make the construction equipment. So this was by no means a small kind of festival. This had very, very big names, the biggest backing that you can have on the globe. The only people that didn't come are the Queen and the Pope himself. So, other than that, there were so many heads of states there. You had the head of Sweden there, the head of Norway there, in different places from around the world. So all kinds of actors and actresses and, TV personalities. Here we go again. This is, I believe, when Ed Sheeran was playing, and they had the eyeballs flashing on stage while he was playing. You see that? I was able to take screenshots and get a couple of them. It's the subliminal level of programming that's happening as they're in front of the stage with an eye, and then the eyeballs are flashing really fast on stage. Look at the young children that were there for the performances. These are 60,000 people that didn't have to pay. All they had to do was read the actions that were asked of them to be committed to by the Global Citizens Organization. Adhere to those actions, and then they would get free tickets to come to this concert, where they would be willing participants in mind control. And they don't know any better. Their parents don't know any better. I believe there's 17 goals altogether, but they thought that it was very important to put 10 through, I think, maybe 16 or maybe 17 up on the stage, with 13 being the eye right in the middle of the stage. This is all subliminal programming, people. This is all subliminal programming. Look where the numbers start at. It just happens to be so that they can get this goal right in the middle of the stage. Climate action, the eye, the globe. Pay attention to the subliminal programming that's happening. 60,000 people witnessed this. Very few people online. I have screenshots from that too. It was a streaming event on YouTube, and I don't think at one time that it even got above 2,000, maybe 2,500 people watching at one time. And I think I'm being generous with that. The highest number I really do remember is about 1,700 people watching at one time on YouTube. So it wasn't even a popular streaming event. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the deception that's being placed upon people. And if you went over part 1, you heard me explain all of this. But this is more or less to physically show you what was going on during that time frame. You see the stage with the eye. Now this is early in the day, probably about 3 o'clock. No, this is a little bit later than 3 o'clock. But earlier in the day, the field wasn't filled up all the way yet, so people were still coming out, and it was starting to get filled up around that time. Wow, look at that. Ed Sheeran. There's the eyeball again, middle of the stage. This time it's just blatant, in front of your face. So they could have used anything. They could have used flowers, anything. No, but of course they would use the eyeball on the eyeball stage. And then a bunch of little eyeballs that I showed you in the other picture, flashing through real quick throughout the, the digital performance happening behind Ed Sheeran as he sang. So this is what was going on. These are the kinds of, folks that were there, young people. I hate to say this reminds me of like a 60s kind of look, like the hippie generation or something like that. But, these are the kinds of people that are being affected and influenced. These are your global citizens of tomorrow. So like I said in the first one, there's a level of marketing, a marketing tactic that was used for this event that is just phenomenal, as far as the outcome of how you can push agendas. I'll be talking about it soon. I'll be talking about the person who is going to be painted as the father of that concept. He's been traveling the globe talking to organizations and to, you name it, organizations, governments, and restructuring the way that the big thinkers work at the top and the marketers work within the organizations on how to get their goals across, but how to get their goals across through unconventional methods. Well, here's an unconventional time frame or unconventional idea as far as the global agenda is concerned. And it definitely, once Americans figure out what it is, it's going to be unconventional to their thinking process. So what the UN has managed to do is take this unconventional idea, use ways that of familiarness that would be able to, make people just very comfortable with the fact that they're being given new goals and new tasks. So they use friendly things that people are used to. Artists, actors, actresses, CEOs, the branding of the companies that people are used to, like Gucci, T-Mobile. They use all of these things to push the global agenda of the world banking elite, of the IMF, the World Bank Group. So, when you see these things happening, we have to start calling them out. There is no reason why we can't call these things out. They're obvious. You see how many people were here in New York? This is in New York City. 60,000 people for a concert with the heads of states. America not being talked about, everything being referred to as global citizens. Okay? And this doesn't make the news. No one's talking about it. These pretty faces could have at least made the news. I mean, come on. No, not at all, though. Huge artists like Ed Sheeran, singing the man sang, I don't remember how long it was, probably for like an hour or something. He put on a hell of a show. It was a great show. Here you go, look. You see that right down there? Be considerate and think twice before sharing the link. 15.95 watching now. You understand what I'm saying? That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. It was on the 26th. This was at 10:18 p.m. This was later on in the night, and it was only about 1,600 people on there watching. Okay, where I was watching the TYT network the other day, I believe it was TYT, and they were live, and there was probably about 4,000, 5,000 something people watching at one time. So you mean to tell me that you have Bono, Pearl Jam, Sting, Coldplay, Ed Sheeran, Beyonce, and all these other people on one stage and only 1,600 people are watching? No. This is how marketing, this is the essence of the best marketing possible. Is they do an event right in front of your face, you don't see it, only the people that are truly in allegiance to this event and to the causes that they're placing forward are the ones that are truly being a part of it. But then what happens is, as time goes on and more of these events take place, well, what will eventually happen is the video archive becomes number one in this event. The pictures become number one. They start to reshape public thinking. They start to reshape how the public views the goals of this event. That's why I'm putting it out now and putting it out early, that this is nothing good. This is nothing good. Okay? There's a lot of subliminal things that happen at this event, and a lot of people don't know. They haven't talked about it. Nobody sat down to actually, watch this event. I watched a great portion of it. So I could tell you that, first of all, the music was it was awesome. They did a really, really good job. It was whoever was at this event, whoever was at this concert, I am sure that they really, really enjoyed themselves, because it was a hell of a concert. Now, between the acts, they had to deal with, CEOs getting up on stage and talking to them about, their global agenda and what they plan on doing, and actors and actresses getting up on stage. There's the Caterpillar Foundation. But getting up on stage and, talking about, what they plan on doing for the future. Here you go. They even had a little call center going on in the background where they were trying to get people to commit to actions. You had to go to their website, and pretty much sign up for the website and commit to actions. And those actions were, if you want to, click on the website and support something dealing with, getting water to populations of people, clean water to populations of people that need water, things like that. Now, like I said in the first video, the trick of all of this is, while you're, saying, hey, I'm putting my click in. Normally, traditionally speaking, when you get a click, you get a result. Well, you're being deceived on your result that you're getting this time, because you didn't make that choice to put that click there in the first place. It's like being deceived on who's going to become president. All of these guys are paid off and paid. So at the end of the day, you're only picking the worst, the best out of the worst. You're not winning at all. So in this case, the same thing holds true for this Global Citizens website. You're committing to these global goals, but you're not really winning at all, because you didn't put these goals in place. You didn't ask for these goals. You didn't ask how they would be governed. No, you're simply agreeing with the people that put them in place, and they're monitoring who's agreeing with them through your clicks. That's purely what's happening. But it's being marketed another way, as if, these actors and actresses and activists, they're all at the same time coming together in this one huge, unprecedented type event in New York City, and they're all, coming together and, with the American public and with the global public, and saying, hey, we want to hold the United Nations responsible. And that's a complete lie. It's just a complete lie. Okay, so, this is a terrible, terrible tragedy that this was able to occur on our soil, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, on our soil, and no one's really taken a big effort to talk about it. Like I said, Richard Branson was there, the head of Ericsson was there, head of Gucci, Google's in there, you name it. Mark Zuckerberg, I don't know why they don't have the Facebook logo up there. Mark Zuckerberg had a message. It's crazy. The President of the United States, the First Lady, was actually there. The Vice President was there with his wife. The Vice President was reading off of that teleprompter. It was just too funny. So, they had all kinds of little clips. And I don't think I mentioned this in part one either. They even had activists like that. Okay, here you go. I don't think I mentioned, let me see. I don't think I mentioned this either. This whole event was actually centered around feminist ideas and children. It was almost like you shouldn't talk about anything dealing with males during this time frame. And I'm just being honest with you guys. This is what the whole event, was centered around. Now, I'm sure all these people that were here, they're not here for malicious reasons. No, not at all, but they were indoctrinated on how they should speak about this event, what the goals of the event were, and the goals of the event are specifically aimed for women and children. And I'll place the links to the videos, that I was able to take during the event down below, beneath this YouTube. Because you need to understand that there's so much you need to understand about this. I mean, there's no way that I could possibly just go over it all, but just understand this. The agenda of the global elite is to take away the leadership position of the male in the household, is to deconstruct that position. If you can deconstruct the position of the male in the household and realign it to the female being the head of the household, well, if the female is already aligned with every event that will be government and World Banking sponsored, then she's also going to be aligned with the ideas that come out behind the World Banking elite and the government. Do you follow me? So if they're realigning the allegiance of the female to come away from the household and to look down on the man, and to realign that allegiance to look at the World Banking elite and the global government as a good thing. As a good thing. Ask any LGBT person, how they feel about Obama. Not any, but ask a lot of them how they feel about Obama. And they'll tell you that he's been the best friend, as far as the president is concerned, he's been the best friend of the LGBT community. This is not by accident. This is by global design. I hate to tell you that, LGBT people, you're being exploited. You're being exploited for a purpose, because they're going to use your cause to bring in global dominance. That's what's happening right now. It's happening all over. So whether you agree with LGBT or not is really not important. What's important is they're using the cause, the very cause, to find their supporters, to affect the families of those supporters, and to bring it all together to say this is how we're going to push global agenda. This is how we're going to push out the policies. That's what we're watching. That's literally what we're watching. We have the First Lady who, she gave a video speech, and then two, she actually showed up and was actually there. So she has a thing, 62 million girls. Like I said, this is all about feminist values. That's what the global agenda population is, feminist values. Now, I'm not saying that there's nothing, that we shouldn't do something about equality in education and income and, things like that for, our female sisters and our female counterparts. But, at the end of the day, when those things are being perverted and polluted by the globalist elite, then it's not up to us to argue with the females about whether, we agree with their feminist agenda. No, it's up to us to argue about how the globalist elite are polluting that agenda by putting their control behind that agenda. This is mastermind level marketing. This is not your classic marketing model. This is a marketing model that only few people, mainly people of the upper structure, understand and know. I'll be giving you the name of it in an upcoming video that I'm going to do on the guy that's pretty much the father of it. You need to understand that this marketing angle has been taught to these people. They understand how to implement it on the masses without them even knowing what's happening, and they're being brainwashed. This is nothing but the new model of how to brainwash people through marketing. That's what's happening. So you had Michelle Obama pushing her 62 million girls agenda, and that's saying there's 62 million girls, I believe she was saying, that are, oh my God, maybe don't have clean drinking water or something like that. I forget what it is, something like that. It's a global goal or something. But she did a video about it. I have to go back and look at the video again. I don't remember. But she did a video about it and talked about it, you know what I mean? And then she actually came out and was actually there and pushed that agenda again and she pushed for a trending hashtag of 62 million girls, as you saw in the other photo. So I took the opportunity, of course, to take a lot of screenshots. I wasn't there at the event, so why not take as many photos as I can from here. So that's her and Beyonce on stage. It was right after the Beyonce performance. You would think when you have powerhouses like Beyonce on the stage here giving a performance, and a very, very lengthy performance on top of that. I mean, very in-depth performance. Look at the audience by that time. The audience is packed, and it's as far as the eye could see. So, when you think you'd have somebody like this on stage, that this would be all over the place. This would be on MTV, BET. That was not Beyonce with 3 arms. That's an illusion. Looks pretty cool though, doesn't it? I'm sure somebody will take a screenshot of that and then later on put it up and have some kind of weird conspiracy theory going on. But no, it's just an illusion because there's somebody behind her. Let me be clear. But, this is something that you would at least think would make the news stations and stuff like that. No, they talked very briefly about the performances, but this is a huge performance. 60,000 people is not a small performance. You have your pink triangle, okay? So don't your pink altar. Don't go, don't think that they went cheap on the, on the imagery that they're showing here. Look, I'm showing you this. As I'm showing you this, I swear on everything I love, I just noticed this. Do you see this? Do you see this? Now that I'm looking at it, you guys out here that have been on this a while already know what this is. But what it technically is if you keep watching it, it's 2 giraffes that separate. I guess this is how they look before they separate though. And I took this screenshot. I was just taking a bunch of screenshots. So if you think that the demonic forces are not all through this, think again. This was a very well thought out, planned situation. This is not a joke. It's not a game. That looks like a person in the background. I don't know. I have no idea who that is in the background. But, this is, it's creepy to look at. And this is the kind of imagery that was flashed in front of people's faces for hours. For hours, literally. See how that's giraffes? So they'll say, oh, no, that's not anything evil or anything like that. That's just, you looking at it a different way. No. Don't be deceived, people. Too many coincidences that show up in one place at one time means that somebody was doing something purposeful. And these people have found a way to get different shapes and images in our mind without us seeing them right away. This is all subliminal programming. You have your little pyramids right here. This is all subliminal programming. See your pyramids in the background? But if you're not paying attention, you won't see them right away because there's too many other things going on. There's more powerful imagery. There you go, your pink stairs going up. It's like a pyramid, maybe an altar thing. I'm not exactly sure. But do you understand how deep this event was? This Global Citizens Festival, this was nothing more than an Illuminati-based event. Here's your black and whites. You understand what's going on? Another Illuminati ritual amongst 60,000 people, mainly U.S. citizens, in New York on American soil, and no one's talking about it. A lot of images of Laverne Cox, the transgender activist, advocate. A lot of young people being affected by Beyonce. Look at that crowd. Look at this imagery. So you tell me what kind of event it is. You tell me what kind of event it is. This is for global citizens. Okay? 60,000 people. You don't even hear about it the next morning, let alone the day of. not talked about anymore, but yet this is what's going on. It's about female empowerment, empowering the children of the world, which, you know, and also controlling the resources. So there's an agenda that's in play here. I am all for the empowerment of females and for the equality of education and income, you know, for children and for females, and you know, and not, you know, educate, not income equality for children. Of course, I'm not saying that, but I'm all for the empowerment of you know, those who are more traditionally more vulnerable in our society. I'm all for the empowerment of that. I am not. I will say it time and time again. I am not for the empowerment of that at the hands of globalist elite. In part one, I showed you where they're donating. Well, not donating. They're pledging. You know, the World Bank Group is pledging $400 billion over the next 3 years to kickstart these global sustainability goals. $400 billion. That's a ton of money, guys. That's enough to transform the world. That's all you need to really do it, honestly. Especially if you're going to be affecting energy resources and stuff like that. So these people aren't playing. They've hired big acts to come in and, you know, to pretty much pass on their agenda and what they're trying to do, you know, as far as controlling our minds, controlling our children's minds and our grandchildren in the future. And if we don't stop what they're doing now and call them out on what they're doing now, more people's eyes will continue to light up like this, and they'll continue to say, oh yeah, you go girl, go ahead, yeah, I'm loving this song, and oh, what'd you say, global citizens, global goals, global agenda, yeah, let's do that too. Can I come to another concert? Do you understand what's happening? This is what's happening. So, you know, while a lot of people are sitting here at home trying to just be good people and live their lives, and, you know, that really do care about the economy, they care about the world, they care about pollution, they care about all of these things, then you have the global elite that are monitoring everything we do. They're picking up on everything that we do. They're taking metadata from our phones, our computers, you know, our microphones and our video cameras on our phones and computers are tapped, you know, daily and often. And they put all of these things together and they say, how can we put together a marketing campaign to affect the masses, and so that we would receive a small blow and we can get past our, you know, get our agenda passed and get people thinking in the way we want with very little backlash. And that's what they're doing. They can put images like this in front of you, and then right after you see this image, I mean, come on, that's Beyonce looking like this. What man in the world wouldn't say yes to that look? You know, who's not looking at that as that's a sign of empowerment? The image says everything that it needs to say. So you're seeing this, and then you follow this with global citizens and talk of global goals, and then, you know, Bill and Melinda Gates, and then the First Lady, Michelle Obama. People are going to listen. They're going to soak it up like a sponge. Why? Because their favorite artist is a part of it. And this isn't all about Beyonce, but she had a really long show, so let's see if we can get anywhere past Beyonce. There's definitely more people than Beyonce, but like I said, I didn't catch the whole show, but I did catch a good part of the show, so, you know, it, again, and here you go, I think this was the Prime Minister of Norway. You know, you got heads of state that actually talked there. I mean, this thing was bigger than life. Look at the children, their eyes, you know what I mean? They're taking these things in. They're taking these things in, and they're going to go home and spread these things to, you know, tomorrow to their friends. This was a huge concert in New York City. This was a groundbreaking concert. This is the UN on American soil. Literally, the UN, the United Nations on American soil, and they're pledging, you know, these artists and these activists and this group of American people, these 60,000 people, and everyone that's here is pledging their allegiance to the New World Order, to the United Nations, to the World Banking Group, to the cartel that's been destroying the very moral fabric of our societies. So now they give us a little bit of music, a few acts. They figure out a way to minimize their risk as far as backlash by not having any major media there. Come on, look at these guys that are on stage that deserve major media attention whenever they're on stage with world leaders, but no media attention. What do you think this is? This is all a psyop. This is all to program the minds of the people. That's all that this is, guys. That's all that this is. So, there's the pictures. I'll make sure that I leave a link below for probably not all the pictures. I'm probably not going to upload all of those, but feel free to take a screenshot and stuff like that, and also check out the videos. That I'll make sure I leave a link below for the videos. Make sure you go to my website, whoissincere.com. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Very important. Subscribe. I have so much more information coming out, and I know you want to hear about this marketing guy that I'm talking about. That's he's all the top corporations of the world, all the top corporations. He's taught them a new technique in marketing, and I think it's time that I expose him. I've been following him since about 2009 or 10. So I've been following him for about the last 5, 6, maybe 7 years now. And he's now here in the United States. He has an office up in New York. And he's making a big name for himself by helping these marketing corporations, or these big technology corporations, and all these big, global corporations, I should say, remarket their ideas in ways that are not traditional. And they're influencing our thinking. He's helping governments to do this. It's influencing our thinking, the way that we're looking at things, and the way that people are perceiving reality is really being altered by, new age marketing techniques. So I'll be exposing all of that. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter at Sincere Speaks. Follow me on Facebook, Who is Sincere. And make sure you check out the description below this. I'll leave a list to some of the video that you can see from this event. It's not great video, but it's video I sat here and took on my laptop, but it just gives you an idea of what was talked about, and what the feel of the crowd was in the event itself. So don't just listen to me talk about it. Look at the videos. I'll share a link with you also to the official, the Global Goals and the Global Citizens YouTube, so you can see the videos there as well. I've only showed you a small amount of the people that were actually there, and in part one I told you everybody, a good amount of the people, still not everybody that were present at this event. This is newsworthy. Get this out to everybody. Show everybody that this is what they're doing right under our noses, and no one's talking about it. A new form of government is being formed right now. The TPP was just approved in Atlanta. That just came out within the last 24 or 48 hours, I believe. The TPP was just approved in Atlanta. Okay? The UN met for their 70th annual meeting. At the same time the UN is meeting, the Global Goals concert is going on right up the street, you might as well say, in the same city, in New York City. And then the TPP meeting was held, I believe, not even a week later, about a week later, in Atlanta. That was concluded, and now all of 2016, the TPP is going to be pushed on to the American people. Okay, through, they're going to be having a battle through Congress. The big thing about the TPP is, if they elect to have this go through Congress, Congress is pretty much saying we give up the battle for America. Okay, if we keep going with this United Nations, these United Nation goals, and these artists and these people that are putting all of this stuff together, then we're saying that we give up the battle for America. That's what we're saying. We're saying we hand it over to you, globalist elite, because you've come up with a good marketing plan to trick our minds into just saying yes automatically without ever having a choice or a decision. That's what's happening. I know this is deep. I know it's hard to understand. But trust me, there's no other way that I can break this to you, no other way that I can give it to you than just letting you know that your reality is being altered by these people. It's being altered. It's being played with. You're being toyed with. You understand? You're being toyed with. Government is making the move to try to capitalize their G. I'm going to keep saying that. That's my trademark thing. Government doesn't want a little G anymore. They want a big G. And you know why they want the big G. This government thing is turning into a sick religion. It really is. They want all your allegiance and faith in them and their global governance and power. This is not going to be about a democracy and electing presidents and goodwill or any of that stuff. No, this is about control, and this is about neuromorphic engineering. Neuromorphic engineering. I talked about that in part 1. They want to control all the grids. They want to control the structure. They want to control everything down to the air you breathe. And they want to be able to calculate and analyze everything. It's not just about control, it's about calculating and analyzing so then you can control it. Okay? This is not a joke. This is not a game. This is not something that we should take lightly and say, oh, this will just pass and it's fine. No big deal. These people, hey, this is what they just do. No, this is going to affect our children, our children's children, and on from there. You understand? This is not something that we can afford to just take lightly and say it's going to go away. We have the vice president and his wife there, and Joe Biden reading off of a teleprompter. You know, this is, you know, who wrote those words for Joe Biden to read? Think about things like this. He didn't mention America. He didn't say, America, this is what we need to do for the global plan. No, he said global citizens of the world. Global citizens, this is what we need to do. This is all indoctrinating you to think outside of the boundaries of America, to break down our borders, to break down our sovereignty. These are the goals of the global elitists. They only want you to have allegiance to them, to be sovereign to their purpose and their cause. What better way than to push a non-confrontational agenda and to, you know, pretty much head up what the hearts and minds of the world will want to see happening, happening amongst the world. Why don't they, get the brilliant idea of, hey, we'll just head that up instead and we'll control that instead. So we'll bring peace to the world and we'll be responsible for bringing quote unquote peace to the world. And we can stay in control of everything, in control of the economic growth. I showed you what the Global Sustainability Development Report was in part 1. So you need to look at these things and realize that, I didn't show you the pictures from part 1. This is about the pictures and talking about a couple points that I didn't talk about before. But you need to realize that this is not an initiative that's something that, they're doing it quick. It's going to go away and, it'll be okay tomorrow. They'll be on to something else. No, they're telling you that this is their initiative for tomorrow. These are their goals for tomorrow. That's what you have to understand. This is not a game. All right. I don't want to get into a rant, so I know I can go off into a tangent, but that's what I have for you today. Again, subscribe to that YouTube channel, follow my website, follow me on Twitter. Biggest thing that I can tell you is go to secretnewworld.com. If we're going to have any chance of change in this world, it's going to come from our own economic empowerment and buying power. So if you're, if you're interested on how you can improve your buying power, in this economy and how you can save some money, save a ton of money, go to secretnewworld.com. I have something there for you, and I will respond to you immediately once you fill out my contact form. And your information, like I said, stays private with me. You don't have to buy anything to look at the information there. Just check it out and know that we do have options to change tomorrow. And it starts with us becoming economically empowered and within our own households, outside of this 40-hour-a-week job paradigm lies and deception. So we got to get out of that. We got to do better. I have a way for it to help us do better. Come join my club. Join me. You're more than welcome. And let me show you how you can help your family, your children, your children's children, your parents, everybody do better and everybody live a better life, a more freeing life. None of these people on the screen are going to give it to you. I promise you that. They have nothing to give you but lies, deception, and that's it. These people are not powerhouses that are looking to change the world for you and me. They're looking to change the world for themselves. And if they are looking to change it for everyone, they're aligning with the people that are looking to control the world. We don't need people to control the world. We don't need people to control our soil, our water, our air, and then to form tribunal organizations that supersede all of our state and local laws. We don't need that. So follow me and go to secretnewworld.com. It's time to get serious, people. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you later.